All right, let's talk about wealth. In 1996, a truly groundbreaking study on American millionaires came out and completely shattered our cultural stereotypes about what wealth actually looks like. But 3 decades have passed since Thomas Stanley and William Danko released that data. So today, we are going to break down their timeless principles in this explainer and apply a critical 2026 reality check. We're going to see what still holds true, what's fundamentally changed, and exactly how you can use this data to build lasting financial independence. Here is our roadmap. We'll tackle the millionaire myth, break down pause versus UAWs, look at the 7 wealth behaviors, discuss the dangers of economic outpatient care, do a critical 2026 reality check, and finally, chart the quiet path forward. Let's dive right in.
Starting off with Section 1, the millionaire myth.
So I want you to literally close your eyes for a second and picture a millionaire. What do they look like? What are they driving? If you're like most of us, you're picturing someone stepping out of a bright red Ferrari, wearing a tailored $5,000 suit, and walking into a sprawling, gated mansion. You picture high consumption. But the data reveals a hard truth. That image is usually just a sign of high expenses, not necessarily high wealth. The numbers paint a totally different picture. Real millionaires? They are out there hunting for bargains. They're driving second-hand Fords, not Ferraris. Stanley and Danko found this crazy stat that a massive percentage of millionaires literally never purchase a current model year car. Instead, they stick to high-quality used vehicles. They shop at discount stores, like JCPenney or Sears back in the day, and they live in completely normal, middle-class neighborhoods right next door to folks with a fraction of their net worth.
It all boils down to that classic Texas saying, big hat, no cattle. Loud displays of status often just cover up an absolute lack of actual money. There's this great story from the original research about a wealthy Texan who rolled up to an interview in a plain t-shirt and jeans, a total contrast to the tailored suit society expects. When they asked him why he wasn't living in a mega mansion or driving a flashy car to show off his success, he simply replied that he didn't believe in having a big hat and no cattle. He cared about actual wealth, not the performance of it.
And hey, this phenomenon isn't just American. It is completely global. Take the intense, high-status pressure of Delhi, for instance, compared to the hidden wealth of Mumbai. In cities known for massive show-off cultures, people will literally drain their entire net worth just to maintain a facade of success. Meanwhile, in places like Mumbai, that guy standing right next to you on a packed local train wearing a simple button-down, he could easily be a multimillionaire. They just aren't caught up in that exhausting, expensive game of showmanship.
Moving on to Section 2, pause versus UAWs. Okay, to really understand the math of wealth, we have to categorize earners. First, you have a PAW, a prodigious accumulator of wealth. These are the master builders, people who accumulate twice their expected wealth. On the flip side, you have the UAWs, the under-accumulators of wealth. They accumulate half or less of their expected wealth. Sure, they might have a massive income, but they spend every single dime just to keep up a lavish lifestyle. They look incredibly rich, but man, their balance sheet is fragile.
So let's hold up a financial mirror for a second. You can even pause this explainer right now and do the math yourself. Take your age, multiply it by your pre-tax household income, and divide that whole thing by 10. That gives you your expected net worth today. So, say you're 45 years old and your household pulls in $120K a year, your expected net worth is $540,000. Got over $1 million? You, my friend, are a PAW. Have under $270,000? You're a UAW. Now, quick caveat for our 2026 audience. If you live in a hyper-expensive city like San Francisco or New York, this formula might underestimate you a little bit because of crazy living costs, but it remains a phenomenal benchmark to check your financial efficiency.
Now, this data point drops a massive surprise. Self-employed people make up less than 20% of the workforce, right? But they account for nearly 2/3 of all millionaires. And no, we are not talking about glamorous tech startups here. We're talking about the folks unclogging pipes and fixing teeth, auto dealerships, grocery stores, dental practices, plumbing companies. These everyday entrepreneurs target a niche, follow the flow of money, quietly scale their businesses, and play incredible financial defense.
Which brings us to Section 3, the 7 wealth behaviors.
If you want to become a PAW, you've got to adopt the 7 core habits of the Millionaire Next Door. Number 1, they play heavy financial defense by living well below their means. 2, they efficiently allocate their time and money. In fact, the data shows PAWs spend twice as much time planning their finances as UAWs do.
3. They value total financial independence way more than displaying social status. 4. They get no parental economic support. 5. They make sure to raise self-sufficient kids. 6. They aggressively target market opportunities. And 7. They choose the right occupation.
You see, frugality isn't just some phase you suffer through before you get rich, it's a lifelong mindset. There's this amazing story from the sources about a guy on a cheap midnight red-eye flight. He's exhausted and gets chatting with the woman next to him. Turns out she is a highly successful mega-millionaire business owner. When he asked why on earth she was flying at such an inconvenient time, she just explained that it was cheaper, she didn't have to pay for a hotel, and the money she saved went straight back into growing her company. She completely understood the game.
Or take the auctioneer who built massive wealth precisely because of his day job. He literally spent his days auctioning off the repossessed furniture, the luxury cars, and the huge estates of people who went bankrupt trying to fake a wealthy lifestyle. Seeing that level of financial ruin firsthand taught him the ultimate lesson in frugality. He realized that a high-consumption lifestyle is nothing but a house of cards waiting to collapse.
Next up is Section 4, Economic Outpatient Care. This is a massive warning sign for any parents listening. The data clearly shows that subsidizing your adult children completely ruins their financial drive. The authors coined this brilliant term, economic outpatient care. When parents are constantly handing out cash, covering down payments for houses, or buying luxury cars for their adult kids, it absolutely stunts their independence. The kids turn into dependent UAWs. They spend their own incomes recklessly because they know mom and dad's safety net is always right there to catch them.
This whole dynamic also explains why high-income professionals, think doctors, lawyers, engineers, are routinely under-accumulators of wealth. Think about it. Society expects a successful surgeon or a corporate lawyer to live in the absolute best neighborhood and drive the newest luxury SUV. That intense status pressure forces them to spend almost everything they make. Plus, they're often expected to be the financial anchor for their entire extended family, which just drains their wealth even further. And to make up for it, instead of quietly investing, many of these pros try to outsmart the stock market with risky daily trading. The data proves that's a losing strategy compared to the true millionaire's method of quiet, long-term holding.
All right, time for Section 5, the 2026 Reality Check.
We cannot ignore that the economic landscape has fundamentally shifted since 1996. Housing is astronomically more expensive today. Back then, the median home price was just 3.4 times the median income. Today, it is literally 6 times the median income. So living below your means on housing is structurally a lot harder for us right now. Also, while owning a small business is still a phenomenal wealth machine, we've seen a huge rise in salaried tech workers building massive wealth through restricted stock units or RSUs. And when it comes to investing, the playbook has evolved. Today, the Millionaire Next Door is much more likely to just quietly dollar-cost average into index funds instead of trying to pick individual stocks. Oh, and cars? Even a completely basic, boring SUV now costs over $48,000.
Finally, Section 6, the quiet path forward. At the end of the day, earning a ton of money does not make you wealthy if you just hand it all right over to car dealerships, luxury brands, and mortgage lenders. As the authors put it so perfectly, wealth is what you accumulate, not what you spend. True wealth is hidden. It is those investments quietly compounding in the background. It's the absolute peace of mind knowing you can handle an emergency without breaking a sweat, and it's the ultimate freedom of financial independence.
So, the next time you feel that itch to upgrade your lifestyle just to impress your peers, I want you to remember the hidden millionaires. Think about the auctioneer or that businesswoman on the midnight red-eye. Sure, it takes hard work, it takes immense discipline, but that quiet path to freedom is always there for you. Take a hard look at your own balance sheet today and ask yourself one simple question. Will you choose to look rich or will you choose to be wealthy?